Welcome to the module on basics of concrete. Today we will be taking other modes of curing, that is, one is heat curing, second is curing by covering the concrete surface with polythene sheets, direct electrical curing, and curing with the impervious papers. How to do these curings, what are the advantages of these curing, and what is the difficulty or the precautions one should take during these methods of curing will be discussed in this module. Before getting into the details of the different types of curing, let us once again recollect what is the meaning of curing. Curing is the process of controlling the rate and extent of moisture loss from the concrete during cement hydration. And we all know that the hydration of cement starts as soon as the cement gets in contact with water. So theoretically speaking, you should start the curing the moment cement gets in contact with water, that means from the batching plant itself. But since you cannot do anything till the concrete attains its shape of the required element, so the curing is delayed till the time it is being poured and finished. And practically one should start the curing as soon as they are able to finish the concrete in the formwork. The different methods of curing, there are various methods of curing. The adoption of a particular method will depend upon the nature of work and the climatic conditions. In general, any application which stops the loss of moisture from the concrete surface can be treated as adopted the curing of concrete. We have discussed so far the curing method by replenishing water with immersion, replenish water by ponding, by sprinkling of water, covering with the moist fabric, the concrete element, the membrane curing, and the steam curing. Now in this particular module we will be dealing with covering with polythene sheet, heat curing, direct electrical curing, and curing with the impervious papers. To start with, what is heat curing? The term heat curing, heat treatment, accelerated curing, and elevated temperature curing are often used interchangeably to mean a deliberate and defined application of some form of heat on fresh concrete with the intent of promoting the rapid cement hydration. So wherever you need to have a early strength, wherever you are having a difficulty in maintaining the rate of cement hydration or rate of gain of strength in the concrete, wherever you have facing issues, difficulties in setting time of the concrete, in those areas you can take care of such type of curing methodologies. The process is a slow process curing operation conducted in enclosed chambers or tunnels or beds where the precast elements are subjected to some form of heat exposure. Steam and radiant heat sources are often used in order to do the heat curing applications. Steam curing we have already discussed in detail in our previous module. The cycle of steam curing, the peak temperature of the steam curing, how the peak temperature will have an impact on the strength of the concrete, and all other details. Now in this particular module we will be dealing with the other methods of heat curing in terms of the radiant heat applications. Radiant heat may be applied by direct electrical heating elements or electrical blankets by circulating warm air around the formwork so that the surrounding temperature can be maintained. This is mainly used for the cold climatic areas, like where the temperature goes sub-zeros and your concrete is having a difficulty in setting. Your cycle time will increase because of the change or the increased setting time of the concretes and so on, and also by using pipes to circulate hot water, steam or hot oil. So these are the different methods or modes by which you can maintain the surrounding temperature of the concrete so that the concrete will gain its strength early. There should not be any delay in the rate of gain of strength of concrete or the early maturity of the concrete, and also the setting time of the concrete because of the presence of the ambient temperatures. So hydration proceeds at a much slower rate when the concrete temperature is low. Temperatures below 10 degrees are unfavorable for the development of the early strength, and below 4 degrees the development of the early strength is greatly retarded, and at or below the freezing temperatures, maybe down to minus 10 degrees centigrade, there is a little or no strength development is observed in the concrete. So these are the conditions where you should look for the heat curing. One typical application of heat curing is the production of precast elements, so that by expediting the rate of rate of hydration of process, you are able to increase the gain in early strength, thereby improving the turnaround time of the formwork which is being used for the production of the precast units. And the other area where the heat curing can be applied is when your ambient temperatures, when your atmospheric temperature goes sub-zeros or below 5 degrees or 4 degrees, which will have an impact, a direct or an indirect impact on the strength of the concrete as well as the setting time of the concrete, which will ultimately lead to the turnaround time of increase in the turnaround time of the formwork being used in such areas, mainly for the cold climatic conditions. Heat curing is very effective. Therefore, in order to cure concrete under low temperature, heat curing is applied so that the setting time and the strength of the concrete can be maintained. The increase of temperature is done using heaters or any other suitable means as discussed in the previous slides in to increase the temperature, the ambient temperature to a say 40 degrees centigrade, so that the effect of freezing and thawing can be minimized or nullified. The setting time can be improved, and the rate of gain of strength can be maintained in the concrete elements. Some of the methods which can be adopted are this is a direct method of controlling the atmospheric temperature or the ambient air temperature surrounded by the element of the concrete, where you can see that you have some external agencies in the form of say gases which are burnt in order to increase or maintain the surrounding temperature in the formwork. The surrounding temperatures which are maintained using the external sources or heating arrangements, it can be a fire, it can be a coil with heat elements, it can be a other processes like you can have other modes of increasing a halogen light with high emitting heat can be used in order to make sure that your surrounding temperatures of the concrete elements can be maintained, so that the concrete inside the formwork will not take much time to set, and the rate of increase or rate of gain of strength of the concrete element can be maintained. Similarly, you can use heat blankets because there is a limitation on the using of heat blankets because of the way it is being implemented. But the effect of cold weather or the low ambient temperatures it can be easily cut off by using the heat blankets, because it is being stick to the concrete, it is being almost connected to the concrete element which is being placed in the cold climatic countries, in the cold climatic conditions. And because of the generation of heat inside the blanket, the atmosphere or the area immediately in contact with the concrete surface is under the heated conditions always. So thereby it will help you to maintain the temperature in order to maintain the rate of gain of strength of concrete. So the blanket is useful in maintaining the surrounding temperatures of concrete because under the cold climatic conditions when it is being poured and the formwork is being removed, but still the concrete is exposed to the cold weather. So the time period after the removal of the formwork and before the concrete attains the required strength, say maybe the curing time of 7 days or 10 days or 14 days, the conditions of temperature needs to be maintained, and under that condition these heat blankets are going to be useful in order to make sure that the concrete gains the temperature. It can be an insulating material so that the cold which is outside the concrete will not enter into the concrete surface or will not hit the direct concrete element, thereby affecting the strength of the concrete. It is observed generally that if the outdoor temperature is say around -34 or -28 or say around 4 degrees, then your temperature below the blanket will be in the range of 32 to 37 if you see the last line, where your outdoor temperature is recorded as 40 degrees degree Fahrenheit, and which is being equivalent to 4.4 degrees Celsius, then the temperature below the blanket will be in the range of 32 to 37.8 degrees Celsius. That means this is a good enough temperature in order to make sure that the concrete is, even though the concrete is exposed to the cold weather conditions, the atmosphere or the surroundings immediately with the elements, with the concrete elements are being maintained at a much higher temperature, so that the setting time of the concrete or the rate of gain of strength in the concrete will not get affected because of the cold climatic conditions. This is the change in temperature using one layer of blanket, and for each additional layer of blankets provided in the concrete element, you can experience a change in 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That means almost a good amount of heat which is being maintained or required to be gaining the strength of the concrete. So coming to the next heat curing element, which is basically a direct electrical curing. Direct electrical curing is done by three methods or processes. One is, the first process involves the use of additional elements such as special coils of wire or even the reinforcement itself as a means to generate heat through electrical resistance. Second is by imposing an electrical current through reinforcing steel or through additional wires. Heat is generated inside the concrete as a result of the provided electrical resistance, resulting in an increased curing temperatures. When the steel forms are used, this method may also be used by applying electrical currents directly to the formwork or by attaching the electrical resistance elements to the formwork itself. So because of the ohmic differences, the heat is being generated inside the concrete and the curing efficiency can be increased. Third and the most recent and the best method is the direct electrical curing is. This is based on the fact that fresh concrete has an electrical resistivity of approximately 100 ohms meter, and as such can be heated ohmically when an alternating current is passed through it. With direct electrical curing, the electrical resistance of concrete itself is taken advantage of, and additional wires for the purpose of creating electrical resistance curing are put inside the concrete. In addition, a more even distribution of heat generation occurs when compared to the use of either the reinforcement or the additional wires as resistors. If you see that graph which is being plotted between the water cement ratio and the compressive strength, you can see that there are two lines being plotted. One is for the normally cured concrete and the second is for the electrically cured concrete. You can say that as compared to the normally cured concrete, the compressive strength is much higher in case of electrically cured concrete, even though the water cement ratio has gone beyond 0.55 up to 0.7. When you compare a electrically cured concrete and a normally cured concrete, electrically cured concrete exhibits a decrease in strength of approximately 28% when the water cement ratio was increased from zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7, whereas for normally cured concrete with the same change of water cement ratio, the decrease in strength is almost 83%. Then coming to the next method of curing, that is covering the concrete element by polythene sheet. Curing with polythene films can be applied immediately after finishing the concrete. This method is effective as the water to cement ratio is not getting disturbed because of the application of the curing, because there is no water involved in it. You are only using the polythene sheet to cover it, the element of a concrete, either it is a beam or slab or any other element which you want to cure it. The cover will protect the concrete from the external weathers like wind and rain immediately after finishing of concrete. So even though there is a sprinkling of water immediately after the completion of the concrete activity, you need not worry of because your polythene sheet will act as a separation membrane also, in order to make sure that the rainwater is not having any impact on the finish of the concrete. Proper overlap and termination in the junction is required to ensure no loss of moisture during the hydration process. Care shall be taken to control the folds after covering the concrete with polythene sheet. Concrete covered mechanically with polythene sheets and then adjusted using rollers to minimize the fold. Why it is being covered mechanically? Because to expedite the speed of covering the concrete with pouring. If you do it manually, probably you will end up in managing the show with a difficulty. So instead of doing it manually, the roll is unfolded mechanically, and then it is being adjusted using rollers as shown in the figure to minimize the unwanted folds. Curing with polythene films can cause patchy discolorations, especially if the concrete contains calcium chloride and has been finished by hard steel troweling. This discoloration is more pronounced when the film becomes wrinkled or folded. Flooding the surface under the covering may prevent such discolorations, because this will almost minimize the wrinkling effect of the polythene sheets. So these are some of the examples like how you can do the curing using the polythene sheets. After covering with the polythene sheets, you can put some dead weights on top of it so that it will not get affected because of the wind or the other natural effects. And in this particular example, you have multiple layers of curing. That is, one is a Haitian cloth which is being filled with water, and then on top of it you have put the polythene cover, so that you have extra cover and there is less chance of loss of moisture as far as the curing efficiency is concerned. And this situation can last longer. So it's a one-time process, but maybe in a day you can maintain this situation for 2 times, and then you are free with the curing activities. So coming to the next method of curing, that is curing with impervious papers. Impervious papers for curing concrete consist of 2 sheets of kraft papers cemented together by a bituminous adhesive with fiber reinforcement if required. The material is conforming to ASTM C171 or ASTO M171. This is easy to remove and replace the impervious papers for using different element curings. It can be folded, it can be removed and replaced, and then again placed on top of another element to do the curing process. The applications of materials, if you see, as soon as the concrete has hardened sufficient to prevent surface damage, it should be thoroughly wetted and the widest paper available is applied covering the entire area. Edges of the adjacent sheet should be overlapped about 150 millimeters or 6 inches and tightly sealed with sand or wooden planks or pressure sensitive tapes, mastics or glue so that the leakage can be minimized. The sheets must be weighted to maintain close contact with the concrete surface during the entire curing period applications. The advantages, some of the advantages of using the impervious paper for curing are: an important advantage of this method is that the periodic addition of water is not required, just like we do in case of polythene sheet. But in polythene sheet, sometimes we provide water also in order to make sure that the polythene sheet is well in contact with the concrete element. But in case of impervious papers, such conditions are not arise, and therefore the requirement of water is eliminated completely. Curing with impervious paper enhances the hydration of cement by preventing loss of moisture from the concrete. Impervious papers can be reused if it is effectively retains moisture. The tears and holes can be easily repaired with patches. Protection to the concrete against damage from subsequent construction activities, as well as protection from the direct sun, needs to be maintained. So to summarize this module, we talked about the definition of curing of concrete again, just to remind each one of us what is a curing is. And then we covered the other types of curing methodologies in heat curing, because heat curing involves steam as well as direct electrical curing, and then the heat curing, that is providing heat blankets, external agencies like fire or something, other methods which can maintain the atmospheric temperature in order to make sure that the setting time of the cement concrete is not getting affected because of the ambient weather conditions in cold climatic countries. The advantages and controls required for concrete curing, and especially in cold climatic regions where it is difficult to maintain the water temperature at 27 plus minus 2 degrees, it's advisable to go for alternate methods of curing like covering with polythene sheets or impervious papers or heat curing and so on. Because you can maintain the temperature of water inside the curing tank where you are putting the cubes to check the strength achieved for that particular element, but in the field where the element is actually exposed to the atmosphere, which is being maintained at sub-zero temperatures, possibly you will not be able to supply the water at a temperature of 27 plus minus 2 degrees centigrade. So instead of putting a cold water on the structural elements which is there standing in the field, you should go for other methods of curing. Either it can be a membrane curing, or it can be a polythene sheet, impervious papers, or heat curing, or anything else rather, except then your water curing, because water curing is not recommended for concrete elements which are exposed to cold climatic conditions. Thank you for watching. Tune in for more updates to come on curing. Thank you very much.